everybody who has wished me birthday wishes on either Telegram, Facebook. They had this social media app in South Korea called Kakao Talk, which I still have for my phone because I lived in South Korea for 2 years, as most of you guys know. So I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for all who have tuned in. So just hang on one second. I'm going to get this posted to some Telegram groups to let people know that I'm streaming. So hang on one second. So I hope everybody is doing well. So just hang on one second. Okay. All right. What I'm going to first talk about with what's going on in Africa, RIP to King Goodwill Zwelithini. Hope, and I believe he's in heaven right now. He was a very good man. He says, happy birthday, Brett. Well, thank you, Jean Van Leeuw. Thank you very much. If I mispronounce your name, I apologize. Thank you guys very much. So just hang on one second. Let me get this posted to another Telegram group, and I'll be right there. All right. Okay, here's the thing. All right, he was 72 years old. Chris White did a good video on it, so I'm not going to talk about it very much, but he was 72 years old, and he had called for reconciliation and peace between black South Africans, who are the majority in South Africa. They make up about 84% of the population, and minorities in South Africa, who make up the rest of the 16%. The vast majority of the rest of minorities are white, or a term for mixed race people is called colored in South Africa. And then also the rest are about 2.5% Indians, and then there's about 500,000 South Africans of Chinese descent that live in South Africa as well. So prayers for his family. He had 28 kids, but 2 of his kids had died recently, and so he was survived by 26 of those kids, and he's also survived by his uncle, Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who is also known as Prince Buthelezi. Both of them are direct descendants of the Zulu king, the last Zulu king that was king of the Zulus, during the battles of Isandlwana and Rorke's Drift, King Cetshwayo. But Mangosuthu Buthelezi and King Goodwill Zwelithini had called for reconciliation between the ancestors of the Zulu warriors that fought in Isandlwana and Rorke's Drift, and also the ancestors of the British soldiers that fought in Isandlwana and Rorke's Drift. And that was also largely due to a British historian who immigrated to South Africa that made friends with many Zulus. He was called David Rattray. Unfortunately, he was murdered in what I believe was a political hit by people, and it looked like there was no signs of a break-in. It looked like the domestic servant that he had let the intruders in. I mean, you guys, that happened back in, I believe, 2007. You guys can go, I did a video on it a while back. You guys can go check that out. So, thanks for all the birthday wishes there. I just recently had another happy birthday wish. Thank you guys very much. That is much appreciated. What I'm going to do, I have most of our relatives are coming for tomorrow, because tomorrow's Saturday, for the birthday lunch. But later tonight, I'll show you the movie. Me and my father, and I've seen it before, are going to watch Patriot Games with Harrison Ford. And it's an excellent movie. The movie's based on a Tom Clancy book, but it's not anything like the book. There's a lot of differences, but in the movie, the Harrison Ford and his family are basically, Harrison Ford helped save some royal family members from a more radical version of the Irish Republican Army. The IRA was an Irish, and I'm quoting, liberation organization in Northern Ireland, but there was a splinter group that broke off from them that were more radical than the Irish Republican Army. Now, I think the Irish Republican Army was a terrorist organization anyway, and I firmly believe that Northern Ireland belongs to the UK, and I'm going to explain why. Okay, when Ireland became completely independent from Great Britain in like 1922, there were 6 counties in Northern Ireland that were majority Protestant that voted themselves to remain with the UK. The reason that they voted to is because they thought they were going to be oppressed. Okay, Rainier Dutois says, happy birthday, Brett. Well, happy birthday to you, Rainier. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks to all you guys who have tuned in. And Rebellious Ruth earlier had said, Zulus are an honorable nation, much respect. I agree. I do think, though, that KwaZulu-Natal, to go back to this, is a battleground between the Inkatha Freedom Party and the African National Congress. But since Jacob Zuma, who is Zulu, took a lot of IFP supporters to the African National Congress, but Jacob Zuma's kind of fallen out with most of the African National Congress. More of the KwaZulu-Natal is going to go back to the Inkatha Freedom Party. And you even saw in the last election how the Inkatha Freedom Party gained seats in KwaZulu-Natal. And I firmly believe that that's what's going to happen. All right. Okay, back to Patriot Games. Okay, and then the majority Protestant counties in Northern Ireland voted to remain with the UK. So they broke off, they splintered off from Ireland, and they became part of the UK. Well, so Ireland is about 2/3 Protestant. Northern Ireland is about 2/3 Protestants, 1/3 Roman Catholics, and many of the Catholics want to be part of Ireland, and the Protestants want to be part of Britain. But the majority of the Northern Irish want to remain with Britain, about 70% of them. Even some Catholics now are wanting to remain with Britain because Ireland's economy has gone down and they're kind of bankrupt, so they really can't afford to absorb Northern Ireland at the moment. And the UK basically has told Ireland that we're not going to move the UK back to Ireland. Move Northern Ireland back to Ireland until it gets the consent from the majority of the people. And that is why the Northern Ireland is part of the UK. Now, let's talk about some stuff that had gone down in Africa with Mozambique, with terrorist organizations in Mozambique. Al-Shabaab in Mozambique. No relation to Al-Shabaab in Somalia. But the U.S. State Department has designated the Al-Shabaab group in Mozambique as terrorist organizations. And they also recognize the army in the Eastern Congo, I believe they're called the ADF, that recognize them as terrorist organizations as well. Both organizations want an Islamic state with no freedom of religion, and they also want the strictest versions of Sharia law as part of law, number 2. And number 3, those groups do have ties to ISIS. So I have to give the U.S. State Department thumbs up for doing that. Also, Another thing that I wanted to touch on with that is that we need to pay attention to what is going on in Mozambique. I believe that organization does have strong ties to Al Qaeda. They have taken over Cabo Delgado, which is next to a key pipeline. So I believe we all need to pay attention to what's going down in Mozambique. I firmly believe we need to do that. All right. Okay. All right. Another thing that I wanted to touch on was, while the President Joe Biden and the State Department did the right thing by doing that, also Joe Biden has forgotten the name of his Secretary of Defense and couldn't remember the name of the Secretary of Defense in the press conference. I firmly believe that Lloyd Austin is going to be a good Secretary of Defense, but if you're a president and cannot remember your own Secretary of Defense, which is one of the top members in a presidential cabinet, then we've got a serious problem with that. I think President Biden is horribly senile, and I firmly believe that should be maybe grounds of rendering him mentally incompetent as president of the United States. Because when you're president of the United States, leader of the free world, you got to be able to function at high speed. You got to have a good memory. You got to have a sharp memory. And forgetting the name of your own Secretary of Defense is problematic, I firmly believe. Now, one thing I'm going to touch on with the Governor Andrew Cuomo situation in New York, I do think Cuomo should resign and he should go to jail as well. And look, he shouldn't have made all the sexual harassment comments that he made or the flirtatious thing towards his female staff members. But one of the things that the female staff members said that he said was, all he asked was, he was kind of kidding, said, "Do you date older men?" Well, it really creeped her out and made her uncomfortable. All right. Here's the thing. He sent COVID-19 patients to nursing homes, which spread the COVID-19 like wildfire. The Naval Hospital, I believe it was called either the USS Mercy or the USS Charity. I can't remember the name right off the top. But President Trump offered a Navy hospital to come on the shores of New York City to offer help to bring the COVID-19 patients there. Well, Cuomo refused to do that. Okay? He also covered up the deaths in the nursing home. His chief of staff, Mr. Rosa, had said that he did. So all that goes on. But then with the Me Too movement, he makes a few inappropriate comments to his female staff members, which he shouldn't have done, by the way. But the inappropriate people are more angry about the inappropriate comments than they are covering up murders, covering up deaths. That just, to me, really bothers me. And we had another situation in the United States with Les Miles. He was an American football coach at Louisiana State University. Fans got tired of him, said he should have won more. Never mind, he won a national champion. He took them to a national championship at one point. I think LSU won 2 national championships under him, if I'm not mistaken. I think they won at least 2 under him. Well, when Les Miles took over at LSU, when Les Miles left LSU, now he's a football coach at Kansas University, but he recently had to resign his position as football coach at the University of Kansas, or Kansas University, KU. Well, the reason was because some things that happened at LSU was, now, it has been proven he never engaged in sexual relationships with any of his female football staff members, like his office staff, but he would bring some of these younger graduate students to his condo or to his home, and they said it just made him really, really uncomfortable. But here's the thing. In 2013, the university told Les Miles, if you keep doing this, you're going to get fired. Stop doing this. There's no sexual relations, so we're not going to fire you for this. And Les Miles complied, and he complied accordingly. Well, now these accusations get brought up again, and for something he did 8 years ago, which were just inappropriate comments, it wasn't any inappropriate touching or anything. Now, one of the female staff members said that he kissed her, but the report, number one, the report's unfounded. Number two, there's no substantial proof of that. So, 7-8 years later, Les Miles has to resign from a university where he didn't do the stuff, number one. And the old university that he was the head football coach on, he complied with the university's orders, and something he complied with that wasn't illegal, by the way. Now that's contributing to his downfall. And that's some of the problems I have with the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement, to me, can be toxic and in that situation. I firmly believe. The Me Too movement, there are some positives to it, I firmly believe, but then there are some negatives to it. And those are some of my positions and my problems with the Me Too movement. If you guys want to comment in the comment section there, please feel free to. I know I don't have the same opinion as all my subscribers and all my viewers, and I'm more open to different opinions, and I'm open to a civilized debate and a civilized discussion. Now, here's what is really agitating, and Chris White did a video on this, and I'm only bringing this up again because I'm pissed off about it. People need to stop threatening Ernst Roots and Afriform with death threats. Go check out Chris's video on it. It's an excellent video. I liked it. I need to comment on it. I probably will as soon as the stream's over. Stop threatening Ernst Roots and Afriform. Afriform, okay, this guy named Millionaire Man, I believe he's called Millionaire Man, on Twitter. He said Ernst Roots as an EFF comrade, basically he threatened Ernst Roots' life. Let's just get right down to it. And the tweets are pretty self-explanatory towards it. Well, and then the Millionaire Man has a picture of Steve Biko on his profile picture. Now, I admired Steve Biko, and Steve Biko wasn't anti-white, and Steve Biko would have never said something like that, number one. Number two, you don't threaten people's lives. That is not covered under freedom of speech. That's just like when Julius Malema said, we are not calling for the slaughtering of white people, at least for now. That is a threat. Cut the throat of whiteness. That is a threat, and threats are not protected under freedom of speech laws. Craig says, happy birthday, Brett. Well, thank you very much, Craig. Much appreciated. I really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you very much. Well, freedom of speech is not, freedom of speech, threats aren't covered on freedom of speech. Well, Afriform does work for all minorities in South Africa. It's not just white Afrikaners. And they've gone into black communities where the ANC has failed, and they have delivered their time to help protect the townships, also put paved roads out on the townships, dig up, fill in potholes so people in the townships could drive to and from work a lot easier without hitting potholes and their tires being blown off. But then they're getting threats. But then Ernst Roots is getting threats. And the Millionaire Man also, or Mr. Millionaire, also said, but I don't stay in Arania. Albert says, I'm a stream hopping. Happy birthday, buddy. Hope you have a good one. Thank you very much, Yanni. And your wife, Reese, wrote on my timeline as well for wishing happy birthday. Thanks both to you and Reese for wishing me happy birthday. You both are awesome people. Thank you guys very much. So, but then he said, Ernst Roots, I don't stay in Aranya unlike you. Ernst Roots doesn't live in Aranya, number one. Number two, Ernst Roots doesn't hide from anybody. Ernst Roots has gone to the United States to raise awareness of the plight of farm murders in South Africa and also what's really going on in South Africa. Ernst Roots doesn't hide or run from anybody. Ernst Roots doesn't live in Orania. Ernst Roots has also gotten threatened on national television, on South African television, by Andile Mutama, the leader of Black First Land First, which is basically an irrelevant party that did not get one freaking seat in Parliament the last election. And Ernst Roots got threatened by Andile Mutama, said, we're coming for your land, just what, we're coming for you. And that is threatening somebody on TV, which is not a protection of freedom of speech. So, stop there. AfriForum is a good organization. Throughout my lifetime, it hadn't been much, but I've donated about a total of 80 to 100 US dollars to this organization where non-South Africans can donate. It's called Friends of AfriForum. And Cameron Engelbrett says, happy birthday, Brett. Well, happy birthday to you, Cameron. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. I donated to Friends of AfriForum. And I firmly believe non-South Africans should donate to Friends of AfriForum because they're a good organization. They protect rights of all people, I firmly believe. They help out all people, I firmly believe. I would not recommend anybody donating to Sightlanders. I'm not a fan of Simon Roach. I think he just highly exaggerates a lot of things. And I would prefer to stick with AfriForum versus Sightlanders. I firmly believe. And while I did like Lauren Southern's documentary Farmlands, and I recommend that you guys should check it out, I didn't like how she went to Simon Roach and Sightlanders instead of looking at the AfriForum model. And if you guys have not seen AfriForum's two documentaries, Tainted Heroes and Disrupted Land, I bet you, I suggest, let me rephrase this, I suggest that you guys check it out. And I firmly believe that you guys should check out what those two documentaries, and it shows like during Tainted Heroes, it doesn't endorse apartheid, but what it talks about how the ANC during apartheid really didn't go after the white majority government as much, but they went after their black rivals, the Inkatha Freedom Party. And basically, the Boy Patong massacre should have not happened by IFP members, but they had been, and this is not an excuse, but they were getting attacked. Many of them were being killed in drive-bys by by ANC members. So they go to where many of the ANC terrorists and members are, and the terrorists aren't home, but their wives and children are, so they massacre the wives and children. That shouldn't have happened, but they were being in terror attack after terror attack after terror attack before they snapped. And that the documentary Tainted Heroes touches on that. It touches how ANC people also went to KwaZulu-Natal, where most of the IFP members were. And this one lady who wasn't a member of the IFP, but her brother wasn't home, but they attacked her anyway, and she was moaning and groaning. Fortunately, there were some reporters there, and they called the ambulance, and you can see on the footage of Tainted Heroes how they were trying to keep her calm and keep her cool and collective until the ambulance services arrived. So if you guys want to talk about it in the comments, just feel free to. And thanks everybody for the birthday. Thanks for the birthday wishes. A bit off topic, but who else is excited for trivia tonight? Yep, I wish you guys all the best in trivia. I just I do my own stuff on YouTube now. I do, and then I follow Chris's channel. I follow Ronaldo's channel. I occasionally look at Ramon's channel. I'm just swamped with what all I have to do, but I played trivia before. It's fun, and plus I don't feel right to do it because if you're outside of South Africa, They can't really ship the prize to you, and I won a match before, but I couldn't get the prize shipped to me. So I hate the price, and I understand that international shipping is expensive as anything. I understand that, but I want people to be able to get the prizes that win it. So that's kind of why I distance myself from the trivia situation. But nevertheless, it is very, very fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, no, that's fine. I know it was a bit off topic, but I do that too. So it's cool. Latest thing about Tanzania, and I know some of you guys don't agree with me on the COVID situation, and I firmly believe it's real. It's why I've been vaccinated. Well, John Magufuli, the president of Tanzania, had been missing for a few days now, but and he kept saying that Tanzania was free from the COVID-19. They covered up a lot of statistics. They didn't release the final statistics of the COVID-19 situation. Well, nevertheless, right now he is in India. John Magufuli is in India getting treated for COVID-19 as we speak. And he kept being in denial about the COVID-19. He kept saying we're not this COVID-19 is not real. We're protected from the COVID-19. He kept refusing vaccines that were going to be donated to him for free by COVAX. And now he's in India getting treated for the COVID-19. Also, Goodwill's Welafini, he had complications from diabetes. He's 72 years old, okay? But he also tested positive for COVID-19, so they're still doing research if COVID-19 was part of King Goodwill's Welafini's death. And I firmly believe that it was, to be honest with you. And I'll give you an example, okay? Our governor, Tate Reeves, in Mississippi, lifted the mask mandate. I'll show this. He lifted the mask mandate, which I firmly believe he shouldn't have done. I know a lot of you guys probably think he should have. But cases have gone up since he's lifted the mask mandate, okay? This is what's been reported so far. This is just as of yesterday. As of yesterday, we have had 763 new cases of the COVID-19 in Mississippi. We have had 19 new deaths from the COVID-19. That is what's transpiring in this state right now. And basically, Governor Tate Reeves, who I voted for, and I don't regret voting for. There's a lot of economic policies that I like. I just don't agree that he did this. So I don't have anything personally against Tate Reeves. I think he was going to be a better governor than Jim Hood, who he ran against. But I think he made a huge mistake lifting the mask mandate. And that's according to a Mississippi newspaper in Jackson called the Clarion Ledger, where we have 763 new cases just as of yesterday and 19 new deaths. Wednesday, we had 479 new cases and 11 new deaths. Those are the statistics that are coming out. Okay? I mean, that is what's going on, and it's not the vaccine. A lot of our population is getting vaccinated. It doesn't mean the vaccine's ineffective. No, it's not. I can tell you that it's not ineffective. But when you get the Pfizer vaccine, you have to wait 10 to 14 days before that vaccine kicks in. Some studies say 7 to 10 days, and then you're 90% immune. Then after about 2 or 3 weeks after your first injection, you go get your second injection, and then you're 97% immune. That is the truth about the vaccines. But what some people will do is they'll get the vaccine and they think they're all free and they're all ready to go and they're all just yahoo. No, you got to follow protocol, and there's a certain protocol that you have to follow. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, the COVID-19, that's the COVID for you. So, basically that, and those are the statistics. I'm just pointing out statistics. You guys have counter statistics, just post them in the comments section. I'm an open-minded individual. I'll be happy to debate it with you. Earlier I talked about Northern Ireland, but talk about Northern Ireland, like the Falkland Islands. They're islands off the coast of South America, but they were settled by the British. Argentina claims them because Argentina claims that once they got their independence from Spain in, I believe, 1820, it was claimed by Argentina, and then Britain took the islands and settled and took the islands years later. Well, Britain didn't settle until after 1820. And also Spain relinquished claim to those islands in 1816, which was 4 years before Argentina got its independence from Spain. And 99% of the current population wants the islands to remain British. And the UK has said, we will give the islands back to Argentina, but only after the majority of the Falklands population wants to go to Argentina. But the fact of the matter is, the majority of the Falkland Islanders want to remain British. So all the UK is being in this situation is a democratic government. And that's why back in 1982, under the government of Leopoldo Galtieri, the Argentine government, they invaded the Falkland Islands. Now, Leopoldo Galtieri was decreasing in popularity. He had ran the economy into the ground, and he was probably about to be overthrown. And that's why he went and invaded the Falkland Islands, to try to get the majority of the people around him, because 89% of Argentinians still to this day think that the Falkland Islands belong to them, belong to Argentina. Well, they arrested the governor, Rex Hunt, and sent Rex Hunt on a ferry back to the United Kingdom. But the rest of the Falkland Islanders were left at the mercy of the Argentinians. But one Argentinian soldier went into the Falkland Islands, and everything looked British, and he saw some products that said made in the UK, and he said, "Is this really home? It doesn't feel like home." And granted, that was just one soldier. Is this really Argentina? It doesn't feel like Argentinian soil. And typically, the majority of the population was unhurt by the Argentinian soldiers. But one Argentinian soldier has suggested, if we kill all these Falkland Islanders, then there won't be a democratic process to vote for who they belong to. Well, Margaret Thatcher didn't tolerate any of that nonsense, and she sent the HMS Hermes. She sent 2 aircraft carriers. The leading one was the HMS Hermes, and they were loaded with Harrier planes that belonged to the Royal Navy, or the British Navy. And those carriers, as well as those submarines and everything else, the war was over in a matter of about 1 to 2 months. And there were several more Argentinian casualties than UK casualties. And yeah, that is what transpired. And the war, like I said, it was a very, very short war. And the islands were invaded in April of 1982. And the islands were brought back under the UK on June 14th, 1982, when Argentina surrendered. And it was a decisive British victory, and the Argentinians really didn't stand much of a chance. I firmly believe that the United States eventually, they were allied with Leopoldo Galtieri, as well as the UK. So the United States largely tried to stay out of it, but Ronald Reagan's Secretary of State, Alexander Haig, was an Anglophile, somebody says that obsessed with British and British culture. And and he suggested that the United States come on the side of the British. But the casualties for all right, Cameron says he's going to head out. It's been a long day for me. Hope you have a great day and weekend. Well, thank you very much, Cameron. Much appreciated. The UK had 255 killed. Argentina had 649 killed. The UK had 775 wounded. Argentina had 1,657 wounded. The UK had 115 prisoners, but then Argentina had 11,313 prisoners captured. So basically, yeah, that is what happened, and mainly because a bomber called the Vulcan launched in UK held territories in Africa. I believe it was called the Canary Islands, and they bombed a key Argentinian airfield. So the Argentinian Air Force, they were armed with Exocet anti-ship missiles, and the Exocet anti-ship missiles. And the Exocet anti-ship missiles that they were armed with could have taken out a lot of British aircraft carriers. They could have taken out a lot of the British Navy. But the UK bombed a key Argentinian airfield, which kept the Argentinian Air Force at bay. So that was an excellent thing that the that the Royal Air Force or the British Air Force did. And it was a Vulcan bomber that was largely outdated, and the British was going to retire it, but the UK used it and used it very effectively. The operation was called Operation Black Buck. It was called Operation Black Buck. Excuse me, it was on Ascension Island off the coast of Africa. Royal Air Force territory called Ascension, or Royal British territory called Ascension Island, and they launched the Vulcan, and the tankers kept it refueled the whole time, and they went and bombed the target and then flew back. And it was like I said, it was an excellent thing. All right, well, I've been going about 30 minutes. I'm gonna let you guys go. Thanks for the 6 likes. Thank you all for the birthday wishes. Much appreciated. I recommend that you guys check out Chris White's stream. I'm gonna check the time right here. It's 1:06. Chris White's live stream is gonna begin in about 29 minutes. I'm gonna be participating in that live stream, not as a guest or a call-in, unless he chooses to have a call-in session. But I'm going to be listening to it. So, hope you guys are doing well. Take care. God bless. And bye-bye. Bye-bye.